Hey, how's it going, YouTube? My name is LB Ninja7, your resident Mistweaver monk, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Time Your 20s series. I didn't know how deep we would go into this series, but you guys really liked episode 1. This will be included in a playlist with that episode. It's an Everbloom episode. But for today, we're going to be looking at Galakrond's Fall. So Dawn of the Infinite, Galakrond's Fall. Why this dungeon? Well, first off, the people in my Discord answered my question, what did y'all want to see next? And they did respond with Galakrond's Fall. But also, I expect you guys to be grinding this dungeon a lot. It has our best in slot weapon, our best in slot pants that always have leech. So I highly expect you guys to be farming this dungeon a ton. Now, the whole purpose of the series, if you're new here, is that we're going to be taking a look at two of my keys I have here. They're both plus 20s, but one of them I perform pretty well in. My group as a whole performs very well in. We dunk on this dungeon. And then the other one, I think I did these backwards, but the other one we do horribly in, like horrible. So we're going to take a side-by-side comparison, what I would do in hindsight to change the bad pools from the bad one and even some of the bad pulls from the good one, and vice versa. Make all the good ones what makes them good. Why did this pull go better than the others? And just take a side-by-side comparison so that we can learn from my mistakes. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, this video takes a lot of time to make because one, not only do I just at the bare minimum have to do 2 dungeons, I have to watch them back, jot a bunch of notes down, but also I do a ton of reps between each of these dungeons to get practice in. So make sure that you guys are liking this video and doing all the sellout stuff so that YouTube pushes this video out to more people that need it, and I'll be very appreciative. But let's go and jump into it. So like I said, this is a Galakrond's Fall plus 20. They both are, and just like last episode, both of these videos are going to be of last week now, which was a tyrannical, bursting, and entangling week. So I'll try not to go as in depth on the bursting mechanic as I did in the last video. If you really want an in-depth bursting analysis, go back to Everbloom. I talked about it a lot. We might still talk about it here just because it was part of this week, a major part. So let's go and start off with this first pool, and we're going to start off with the bad pool. So you'll notice here we're only pulling 5 enemies, so we did end up shroud skipping the first 3. Honestly, on Tyrannical Week, we did not need to do that. But this pack is really easy, and you're going to see a lot of these ads throughout the dungeon. For the most part, your main priority is just dispel the tank, because this does amp up the damage that they take, and the last thing you want is to lose your tank. And you'll see in the next pool, in the future dungeon, you'll see we do pull a lot more. So just the more dot stacks that they have on them, or debuff stacks they have on them, the scarier it gets. So just protect your tank. That's your number 1 priority. And then also these rippers are going to be Beyblading around. This is just priority to get out of. Now, a lot of these fights in this dungeon and in both Dawn of the Infinite dungeons really are very movement based. So I will include my talent build in the description below, but just know that one major thing is that I did swap to having 2 roll charges instead of just 1. I started off the season with 1, but I started to notice I needed more rolls more often. And part of it is pools like this, the time rips. These spins are important to get out of fast, and then you can get back to doing the important things like 1, dispelling your tank, but 2, one thing that's kind of scary about this pack, especially on fortified weeks, is that these guys will fixate a beam, that chrono melt, on an ally, and it does melt. And chrono melt is the perfect name for it because you have a little bit of time to counteract that melt. As you see here, the bursting sacks come out. We handle it pretty nicely, but all in all, if this were fortified, you got to make sure to kick that chrono melt cast, dispel the tank once they're at about 2 stacks, 3 stacks. But we'll get into the first boss in just a moment. Let's hop on over to the big key and see the bigger pool. I hope the quality gets better. But you see here, like I said, we pull all of it. Now I am moving very slow. I don't know why. I mean, it was entangling, but we should be well within this cast. And you see there, although this was the better key, there are some moments where I misuse my Phaline just because I do pug all my keys. I don't really know what our plan is. I thought we were just going to pull here on the staircase, do it in 2 pulls. But honestly, I think I feared this pool way more than I should have. You see here, we're already on this massive pool. I don't have my Phaline. Super scary. Obviously, you should just save your Phaline until you see your tank stop pulling. So that was just my bad, but it works out because we do spread our hots pretty nicely. We heal up the person as soon as that time rip goes out. Whoever he jumps on, we heal them up, and for the most part, now that we have our Phalanx, we can get some good spinning Crankcake value. Until now, all the bursting stacks start to come out. That's why I swapped to my single target rotation. Like I said, I talk about this a lot in the Everbloom video. Once things are dying, you want to do your single target rotation more often because the future value of the HOTS outweighs the present value of your spinning Crankcake spam, how much more healing and damage it does in the moment. But you see here, since this was a large pool, mentally, just like in last video, I've already committed that I'm gonna be using Revival on this bursting. So now that we've hit 9 stacks, I tried to fight it as much as possible since more stuff is dying, to cleanse as much at once as possible. Because I have all these HOTS out, I did good prep using my Renewing Mist charges, using my Rising Sun Cake on cooldown to get all these HOTS out. I tried to beat it. But then we get to 9 stacks, I cleanse them away, and then now we only have about 6 mobs left, and we can manage the 6 mobs. You see there, the time rip, everyone was stacked, so I did have to roll out, use Life Cocoon. I probably could have Expel Harm, but I'm not mad that I used Life Cocoon. But here we come up on the first boss, and for the most part, both these pools look very similarly. But for this boss, a lot of the mechanics look very similar to the pool that we just did. Your main priority is going to be keeping your tank alive, because he's honestly the only person that takes real damage for the most part. Now, a lot of the damage that the rest of the group is going to be taking is avoidable. So ideally, in an ideal scenario, everyone knows the mechanics and no one takes any real damage. But here, you want to spread your circles out along the edge. Now, there's 2 ways that you can do this fight. You can either put your, stack them all on the edge first, and then the next time stack them like up here to keep going around the circle and kind of do like a pinwheel until you only have the center left. However, I don't like that because of the next mechanic. It makes it tighter. If you leave only the center area of this round room open, it makes it pretty tight. So I like to kind of sweep across the room slowly, but kind of making sure you get all the edges and fully doing the whole circle. But you'll see we do kind of do that on both pools. The only damage in this fight is from those sand pits if you stand in them too long. So just make sure you're getting out of those. Use your roll charge. Like I said, in this build, if you copy it, you have 2 rolls. But here is the only other mechanic. Now, obviously, with a mechanic like this, where it kind of stars out all these orbs that you have to dodge, the further away from these circles you are, the better it is to dodge them specifically. Now, the problem is there's also this little tiny soak. Wherever he jumps, like part of his little hitbox, there's going to be a circle that you need to soak. So you don't want to get too far. So what I like to do is I like to get like about half of a ring of pieces diameter away from the boss. So basically like our melee range away from one of these, the big circles. So about here is where I stop. So like if this orb or if this circle was the boss's hitbox, then I like to be in melee range of that. Now, why? Because I think these orbs are very easy to dodge. A lot of people kind of get caught up trying to dodge all of them, but the simple thing is that you just have to dodge one. Just find one and stand right beside it. That's all I do, is just find one, stand right beside it. And I kind of cheese like a couple of mechanics, kind of like take off a little bit of mental load on a lot of mechanics in this dungeon by doing something similar. And I think you guys will see, especially on the next boss. But then after that, it's just rinse and repeat. Just stack, like loosely stack your sand. Just be looking during that moment, move out of yours, but be looking for anyone that's taking damage. If no one's taking damage, just start pumping into your tank because he's about to take a beating. And after that, it is literally just rinse and repeat. In fact, I don't even want to show you the good pool because it looks a lot like this, to be completely honest. This boss is pretty easy, even on Tyrannical Week. I guess an important thing to note is that if you do get marked for the leap, just make sure to move out of your own circle, obviously, because you don't have to soak your own circle. Once he picks you to leap and that circle stops moving, you can get out of it or you will be one shot. So to summarize that last boss, just to put it simply, just execute your Ancient Teachings rotation. Like, just make sure you're not sitting at full stacks of Renewing Mist. You're keeping that Rising Sun Cake flowing, and you should be fine. That maintenance healing will be enough to do the healing. But just keep an eye on your tank. Once you move out of your tiny little sand circle, keep an eye on everyone else. Make sure no one's taking at least one tick, because that's how you snowball, is by not healing people up before the next mechanic. But now we're going to look at these next few pools. after the boss, and for the most part, they're pretty easy. But I want to go ahead and stop it because this is the bad pool, and the number one thing that I do wrong here is it's already started. As you walk up to these mobs, you really want to be pre-applying your renewing mists, because one of the first mechanics that this guy does is he applies 2 debuffs to people, and you have to dispel those debuffs. And once you do, it'll do a big slam of AoE damage to everyone, and you have to top everyone up before the next one goes off. There's a lot of mechanics like that this season, but this is one of the big ones, and it can get scary on fortified weeks. So just get into the habit of, as soon as you come up to this mob, as you're walking up, apply your renewing mist, and once you get here, do your double Thunder Focus Tea Rising Sun Kick hits to have at least 4 renewing mists out immediately, and that'll really help with that mechanic. So once you dispel, you can top people up really quick with your Vivify Cleaves, and then be good to go from there. But you see here, I have 1 renewing mist out by the time that we get marked. So I dispel myself, and we're in a bad spot. Like I said, this is Tyrannical Week, so it's not too scary, but we have all these casts going off. We have a bolt that's about to nuke someone. Luckily, it's the tank, but everyone's sitting at about 50% health, or at least I am in the Rogar now after some heals came through. But ideally, everyone's already topped up, because as soon as I dispel, I pick that same person, channel some Vivifies into them with Soothing Mist, and get everyone cleave topped up, kind of like a disc priest, watching all the health bars move. But you see there, we did have to waste Shaylun's gift, and it all starts off that. Now, one thing though about this pool is that my group really does carry it. You see here all the CC that's coming out. We are really controlling these mobs, and it's not me. My leg sweep is still ready to go. But I popped Gigi. This is just to get ready for all the bursting stacks that are coming. You see here, we actually did a great job. After that initial part of this pool, we did a great job, because now we are fully ramped. We just pick a target to Soothing Mist, the lowest health target. We have 5 Renewing Mists out. We have a couple Chi Harmonies out and a couple Enveloping Mists out. And we can really battle these, the ticks of the bursting. But that's all I'm going to show you on this pool. Let's see how I fixed it. So this was a couple reps later. We're going to come in, and already you see I'm getting ready to apply my Renewing Mist, but you see there the swirlies kind of did mess me up. But as I'm walking here, I already know, hey, I need to go ahead and pre-apply these. Pre-applied both of them. We're going to just start our Renewing Mist. You see the Thunder Focus Tea, double Rising Sun Kick already, and we are in such a better spot. We have 4 Renewing Mists out. We have 2 Chi Harmonies out. 1 will pop between the 2 dispels. You see there, I dispel 1 person, and then it's super easy. It just takes 1 Vivify to kind of heal that damage back up. Like I said, in Fortified Weeks, that probably would take a channeled Soothing Mist, slamming some Vivifies, but just the simple act of pre-applying your Renewing Mist as you walk up to this pack makes this pack so incredibly easy. And I believe we even pulled more on this than last time. But you also see here, I'm using more CC. I'm kicking things. There are a lot of casts, so it's just important to kick things. And we will actually look at this next pool, because this pool has one other important mechanic that I think I should talk about. Now let's wait for it. See here, I'm just doing my Ancient Teachings rotation, which is great at applying these hots. But here you go. We have Bloom. Now, how Bloom works is, just to put it simply, you should do it right every time, because it's very simple. But just, it puts a debuff on the tank and 1 person that's not the tank. Your job as the healer is to dispel the non-tank. Why the non-tank? Well, the tank is tanky. They're meant to take more damage, whereas a DPS, look, his bark skin's off cooldown, or Iron Bark, whichever that one is. He is not designed to just take this rolling hot, because it does a lot of damage. The tank will be totally fine. This pack doesn't do too much damage, but you dispel the non-tank and then heal into the tank. So you'll see here, I dispel the druid, and the tank is absolutely chilling. But yeah, we just start, we leg sweep to kind of slow down the damage and catch back up in healing. And from there, we try to spread out some Renewing Mists, which I do a pretty poor job. I have to waste Life Cocoon. But for the most part, I just wanted to show you the Bloom mechanic. Just dispel the non-tank. I've seen a couple VODs where people dispel the tank, and then the DPS has to pop a defensive. You have to do a lot more healing for no reason. Just dispel the non-tank. But in an effort to make this video shorter than the hour-long Everbloom version, we're just going to skip to the second boss because a lot of these enemies kind of just rinse and repeat the same mechanics. Some pools look a little different because certain packs are like rearranged, but for the most part, you've seen all these enemies before. And just, focus your tank, focus whoever they fixate on. Make sure you're kicking as much as possible and using your dispel efficiently. But now, on to Manifested Time Waves. I've seen a lot of people struggle with this boss, but I promise you, we're about to make it very easy, very simple. That's the whole purpose of this series, is to simplify these pools. Right once you get started, it's very confusing because your screen changes, your whole world changes, but really, whichever quadrant you're on does not matter. Whatever people say is like, stay on the dark one, stay on the light one, that does not matter. Don't move until mechanics happen. So the two mechanics in this fight are very, very simple. One of them requires severe throughput, and that is the dispel mechanic. The other one just requires very minimal movement. And let's go ahead and see it. Which one comes first? Fragments of Time. Now, for Fragments of Time, I'm going to kind of just like let this one play out. You see here, we're kind of moving around pretty scrambled. It's like I don't have a plan, but how it works is these orbs are going to start, two orbs are going to start coming out of the boss in like this pattern, and it's your job to dodge them. Now, in the light squares or in the light quadrants, they're going to move fast, and this quadrant, they're going to move slow. A lot of people, that's why they say to stay in the dark one. Do not do that. Do not just stay in one, because this will make it a lot harder. But you'll see on this pool, like I said, I just kind of don't move around with a plan. I'm very far from both, but you really want to hug one. And you see here, this mage, he really gets trucked by it because he's soaking him. Okay. Now, it's unfortunate that the mage does get hit by one because it does force us to enter into the next mechanic with someone being kind of low, making us waste resources on a mechanic that otherwise does not require any throughput cooldowns. But this one does. How it works is two people get marked with a debuff. Now, you as the healer, you need to dispel one of them pretty quickly. Don't do it instantly. You really want to look. Hopefully they shout above their head for you unless you've turned that off somehow. But how it works is they're going to shout above their head, and you look for one of them that is in the light square, the light quadrant, because the light quadrant just makes everyone take a little bit more damage. Whereas if you dispel a person who's in the dark quadrant, a ring will slowly pulse out of them that does a lot more damage. So it's just so much easier to treat this like that other dispel mechanic where two people get marked and you have to dispel one and then heal up everyone before you dispel the other. It's exactly the same if you dispel them in the light quadrant. So you see here, I see the hunter is standing in the light quadrant, so I heal him. However, the reason why this is the bad pool is because you'll notice this is the throughput one. I should be rolling Chi-Ji ready to go for this, or just go ahead and pop Sheilun's gift, but I'm not. So the person who has the other debuff is taking a buttload of damage, and we almost lose them. If they weren't a rogue, they would absolutely be dead. We do commit the Sheilun's gift, but we have to waste I think that's their cloak, their like cheat death thing. So really bad play. Just treat that as the throughput mechanic of this fight, and it makes it very simple because you can alternate Sheilun's Chi-Ji to deal with it and just make it super easy. And then from there, this pool kind of just slowly snowballs into, us wiping. Or almost wiping. I think we do end up killing it, but we almost wipe. You see here, the orbs are coming out, and I am in a horrible spot. I kind of sat there. You'll see in the future pool how I deal with that mechanic, the orb mechanic, and make it super simple. Let's go and watch. And you'll see, the mage just cut it close. You see the mage is kind of moving the wrong way. They're kind of moving sporadically, adapting in the moment, but you have to have a plan with this, and I can only say it so many times, but I do, and I'll tell you guys once we look at the good pool. But you see here, the dispel mechanic comes out again. We wasted our Chi-Ji. During all of that, we wasted it. I mean, why are we popping Chi-Ji on a mechanic that does not need throughput? The orbs, they do not need Chi-Ji. In fact, it just distracts me to where I almost get hit. And then here we come out with the dispel mechanic that happens right after this dance. And I don't have anything ready. I have a small Sheilun's gift. That is horrible. We even used Revival. But there, I should Dispel and then immediately Shaylin's Gift. Dispel, immediately Shaylin's Gift. Or have Chi-Ji rolling and Dispel when you have an Enveloping Mist ready. But we somehow survived. But like I said, I am just committing way too many resources. The whole group does not really understand the mechanics. So you guys get it. It turns out people die. They get hit by orbs, and the spells start to slowly truck us down. I hold on to my Shaylin's Gift for way too long, and it's just a horrible pool. But let's go ahead and look at the good pool. So up first is the orbs, and I'm excited to show you guys how I deal with the orbs, because like the star that shoots out on the first boss, there's one simple trick that you can do to make it super easy. Now, I've never been surfing as a kid. I always wanted to. I just never did. We didn't live close to a beach. But this is as close to surfing as I've ever been. No, I'm not riding this wave on top of it, although it might look like it. How it works is you look for the orb. You know how I said they're on either side of the boss. You look for the one that is to your right. So you look for this one that's on your right, and you run to it. And then from there, you just ride this wave. You just tuck underneath this wave, and it's super simple. You don't have to worry about these orbs. You are literally just walking, stutter stepping right underneath that wave. And then here, since no one takes orb damage, it's super simple. I Dispel and then immediately start healing. So Shaylin's Gift right after I Dispel myself, and then I just let the Druid's debuff fall off naturally. But you try to Dispel really quick, so that way once it does fall off naturally, it doesn't happen right after you Dispel. But look, orbs come out again. I just ride that wave. I just look to my right and follow it, since they do go around the room to the right. And yeah, that's the boss. It's like super simple when you look at it like this. And then by the time the Dispel comes back, I have Shaylin's Gift. I'm pretty late on it, but we have Chi Cocoon to help out the other person that has the debuff. It's me and the Druid once again, but theirs falls off, and we didn't even have to use a major cooldown because for the most part, the other person that you don't Dispel takes the most damage. And since I had Chi Cocoon, or I'm sorry, Life Cocoon, they were totally fine. But that's the boss. It's rinse, repeat. Boss falls over. Just ride the wave. Look for the orbs on your right. You should be golden. And simple ancient teachings, healing is enough to heal through the orbs as long as no one takes unavoidable damage. But you see there, Dispel, Shaylin's Gift, and then start pumping into the person with the other mark. Totally fine. Super easy fight. All right, so next up, I'm going to talk about this dragon, because this dragon is pretty difficult on fortified weeks. Like I said, both these keys were done on tyrannical, but for the most part, it gives us a better chance to look at the mechanics and how to deal with them. Now, I have it written down to watch the good version first. So we're going to watch the good pool of this dragon, and for the most part, there are only two cooldowns, or two buttons. There's Timeless Curse, which is super simple. Just step out of the yellow, step out of the swirlies, and you should be golden. However, the next mechanic is where the damage comes through. It's kind of like the last boss. One mechanic is kind of bait, and the other one is like it's a mechanics check, and then the other one is a throughput check. Infinite Fury is a lot of damage happening over a few seconds. So what cooldown of ours is perfect for this? Well, honestly, all three of them, but Chi-Ji is amazing for this type of damage, this damage instance. So ideally you have Chi-Ji rolling. However, another great way is to just have all of your renewing mists applied and then spam Vivifies into the fifth person or whoever's lowest. And that can get the job done super easily. And you see here, I end up not even having to do that for the most part. Here I am doing it. But Ancient Teachings plus one single quick cast or instant cast Vivify is enough to top the whole group up since I have my hots rolling. So, thus, how you're supposed to deal with this fight is during this downtime and during Timeless Curse, you ramp up a bit. So try to do my thing of applying both Renewing Mists now, and then doing a Thunder Focus Tea Rising Suncake to get 4 Renewing Mists out. Since this is like literally super simple, super downtime, just dodge. That's all it is. And then for now, once the next mechanic hits, Infinite Fury, you are poised to deal with it. See here, I did that kind of poorly, applying my Renewing Mist right once Infinite Fury starts. However, since it's Tyrannical Week, it's not that punishing. But ideally, if I were to go back and change this, I would have done that sooner, right after I dodged swirlies. That way we come into Infinite Fury with a bunch of Renewing Miss out, and those Chi Harmonies will be set up to pop once Infinite Fury starts. But now let's look at this mini boss, the dragon, on the bad pool. Now this was like a group-wide horrible pool. First up, we try to shroud it, and as you see here, it has True Sight, so I'm sure you can imagine how this is gonna go. Apparently no one except for me sees this, or maybe someone does, but yeah, he saw us. He's just gonna kill us and pick us off, yet we still go over here and try to hide. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing. Guys, this series is pretty embarrassing to make, I'll admit it. But I really think it's good stuff. Like, I really think that learning from my mistakes and showing you guys this, although it's pretty humbling to see how bad I can be when I don't know mechanics, it really does help. But then once we get into this pool, it's fine. I just had to show you guys that. I mean, that's pretty embarrassing. But we deal with Infinite Fury pretty easily since there's only 3 of us here. Ancient Teachings is pretty good to heal that up because it splits among 3 people instead of 5. But yeah, like I said, this mini boss is super easy, especially on tyrannical weeks. You just have to ramp up during the easy part so that you can pump heals during the Infinite Fury. And you guys should be able to tackle that on fortified weeks. All right, so this next thing that I want to show you guys is a little trick that I've been using all season, because there's a lot of parts of dungeons that have like little portals that take you to the next part. Think like your Everbloom going into the last boss room, or in all the Dawn of the Infinites, there's always a portal that does something. My trick here is use your mana tea. I don't do it here, but right before you walk into the portal, like, you should dismount and start drinking your mana tea. Why? Because you'll drink during the whole time that you're in this portal. It's kind of like when you start eating a feast right before someone inserts a key and starts the dungeon key. The game will treat it as if that whole time that you're loading into the dungeon you're eating. It works the same here. You'll be drinking mana tea and you'll come out of this portal with like almost all 20 stacks, or however many stacks you consume. So it's just a small little thing that you can do to help you out in your dungeons. That way you don't waste time on the pool doing drinking, because this pool is pretty scary. This is the good pool of these little mini dragons, these risen dragons. It's pretty heavy damage on fortified weeks, so you do want to respect that damage and use Chi-Ji, especially if you double pull all this. That will be a nightmare. Hopefully your tank isn't buck wild and you pull in 2 separate packs. But yeah, these dragons, all you have to watch for is the spew. Now, my player profile is kind of blocking them, but what I'm doing subconsciously is I'm looking for the swirly and getting out of it. But if I cannot locate the swirly, like say there was a bunch of stuff blocking that, look for his tail. It kind of just flails around. And that's one other way that you can dodge that swirly, is just roll toward his tail or move toward his tail. But for the most part, you should be able to see a swirly. But that is literally it. It's just dodging the swirly and through-putting all the damage that's coming out. That when the chunks smack, they do a big AoE hit. You see that big pulse of AoE damage? It can get scary on fortified weeks. So like I said, definitely respect it with a cooldown like Chi-Ji or Sheilun's Gift after a couple pulses, or be ready to Sheilun's Gift if you know that you might start taking big damage. But yeah, Blight Spew is super easy. These packs, they can give you trouble just by the amount of damage that's coming out, but do not get caught off guard by the frontal, or the swirly, I should say. All right, so now we are approaching the Blight of Galakrond, the 3rd boss in this dungeon, and this boss can be pretty tricky, and you're going to see that. So in this bad pool in my first attempt, you're going to see a lot of this group does not understand the mechanics, and the mechanics are what kill you. There's a lot of stuff to dodge though, but the first mechanic is Corrosive Infusion. So I think that's what it's called. But you see there, the boss will spit on someone and give them a debuff. You see that debuff nukes them. It does a lot of damage up front right once they acquire that debuff, but then it just does slow ticking damage. So as the healer, pay attention once it picks someone. Hopefully you have a good player profile that kind of announces to you who the boss is going to target. Treat it like Throne of the Tide, where once you see someone's about to get crushing depths, you are already channeling into them. Because as you see, there are swirlies that come out shortly after, and you want to at least have like some hots on them. But as you can already tell, this guy does not know the mechanics. So you can pass on the debuff by stacking on someone. And how you're supposed to manage this debuff, by the way, it's on a timer. So it lasts, I believe, like 12 seconds or something around there. But if you let it expire on you, you'll die. So you have to trade off the buff right before it expires. How you get rid of this buff or get it out of the group is by letting your tank, or whoever you want it to be, your tank, trust me, get hit while they have the debuff by this frontal, and it removes the buff. So this guy, for the most part, did that one pretty well. So you just hold on to it for a few seconds, let your healer, or you as the healer, buff or heal them up, and then they take it to the tank and let them get it removed. So you see here, it is this debuff. It lasts for about 15 seconds, 14 seconds. You see there, it nuked me. It absolutely nuked me. I used Expel Harm, and I am just surviving. And I accidentally traded off to the rogue. We kind of moved into each other with our entangling. But for the most part, you do not want to be stacked on this boss unless you are taking this to the tank. Now, how I like to deal with this mechanic is if you don't get corrosion, you normally want to stay as still as possible and let the person who has corrosion weave between you toward the tank. But entangling does kind of throw a wrench in those plans. But you see there, he kind of moves out toward me, takes it so he gets trucked, and then he just immediately takes it to the tank so he gets trucked, and that's how we dispel. But ideally, I would have gotten trucked, healed myself up, held onto it for a second, taken it to the tank right before that mechanic. Now, here's the first instance where it goes to a ranged player. What I like to do as the healer is, if I'm in comms with them, I like to just do it myself. Like run out to the ranged person if I have defensives and if I have means to heal us both. Run out to them, grab the debuff, and then me be in charge of giving it off to the tank. However, since it's a mage, I'm like, okay, they're pretty fine. And plus, once the boss phases, it does disappear. Now, this boss is kind of where we all fall apart, because it does the same mechanic. You see there, it picks the hunter, they get trucked. I am all the way out here. I cannot heal them super efficiently because of entangling, and they just run it in like a bat out of hell and just pass it to the tank. And that is when this happens. So Necrotic Winds, he kind of does a similar mechanic to the first boss. All you have to do is dodge the winds. How it works is the first ones, wherever they spawn, the second ones will kind of split that difference. So you kind of dodge one and then move back to where you were, and you should be fine. You see there, I dodge here and I kind of stay here. That's bad. You want to dodge, then move back. But that is big damage. A lot of damage comes out right there. But if you notice, if you pay attention, I thought that I got hit by a tornado in the moment. So I was beating myself up over this death. I was like, oh my God, how did I just let myself die? I'm rolling Chi-Ji, because here I am rolling Chi-Ji, because I know this is a lot of damage. But if you notice, the tank is dodging toward us and we're dodging toward the tank. And we end up stacking. That trades off onto us and we get absolutely mollywopped by that mechanic. So just poor corrosion management, and you'll see that kind of does wipe us here. And then we end up pulling again, and it actually wipes us again. So the mage gets it. We do a good job kind of slowly moving. You don't want to just run in like the hunter did that one time. You want to slowly maneuver around each other, let the tank grab it off of you. And then once we get over here, you will see that the rogue has it. The breath is about to come out, but the rogue kind of just sits here and holds on to it. You need that to be cleansed by the breath, or it will just mess everything up. The tank takes it, gets really low. Now, I think he got hit by a second one, but like now we're stacking mechanics on top of each other that don't have to be stacked. You see his debuff was about to roll out or time out, so he jumps out to the first person he can find to take it and pass it off to them. And unfortunately, that was me. But in an ideal scenario, the rogue would have passed off to him before this Blight Reclamation, cleansing it, and then that debuff would not be there for the tornadoes. So we wipe and then we pull it again. We end up killing it. But let's go and look at what the good pool looks like. It looks pretty different, but a lot of it is group-wide, just understanding the mechanics. And then myself, I did get better at healing people up once I get corrosive or corrosion. And yeah, so it's on myself. We dodge all the swirlies because no more damage is coming at us, and then we pop Expel Harm, top ourselves up, and then I get ready to pass it to the tank. Once that breath starts to come out, I pass it to him because I had plenty of time with the debuff on myself. And same there. Me and this person see that one of us is getting targeted, so we split up, and then they deal with the mechanic. I roll Chi-Ji to help heal him up because we can get good Chi-Ji value here, start rolling some hots, and we just do it perfectly this time because it's very simple. It's a very easy mechanic. Just pass it to the tank after a few seconds, and your group will be totally fine. You come into this phase without any corrosions. And as long as you do the mechanic perfectly, even in this phase, then the tornadoes get a lot easier because no one is just getting trucked for no reason. You see there, I choose to take it because, like I said, he is a ranged player, and I can go ahead and pass it to the tank, and I knew that I could heal myself up and pop a defensive, so that's why I did that. I dodge one tornado, pop Shayloon's Gift, and then instantly move. And here I am just managing this debuff with the DH. I know it's on a timer, so I knew that I had passed it off to the DH a little bit before, so I just took it from him so he doesn't die. And then right once that breath comes out again, pass it back to him. It's all about utilizing this debuff, or not utilizing it, but managing this debuff. And as the healer, a lot of it is on you to heal up that person, make sure they're safe. But then as the person getting marked, it's on you to take it to the tank at a good time. And then once you make it to this final phase, kind of all shit hits the fan. Shit hits the fan. All hell breaks loose. One of those, and you'll see I'm pretty sure I end up dying. But this one guy, the frosty guy, is just going to be spitting at people and just hurting people. While the other guy, or no, I'm sorry, the fire guy is going to be spitting on everyone. While this other guy, the green guy that we've seen before, will continue to do the noxious, not noxious injection, the corrosive infusion. So that same mechanic, so that mechanic persists throughout the entire fight. But then this guy's just here to just smack up people every couple seconds, make your life harder. So just really keep everyone topped up, roll your Chi-Ji, roll your cooldowns through this. This is the hardest part of this fight because, like I said, you're fighting two bosses that have the same mechanics plus some. So yeah, this is just the hardest part. Part of the fight. Make sure you're rolling cooldowns and watching who that corrosive infusion goes on. Also, Necrofrost is a root. We're really good for that because we can Tiger's Lust whoever gets that. But for the most part, I am still just trying to manage that corrosion. And you see there, I get nailed by the mechanic. So the new mechanic here is that fire guy is going to be spitting on everyone, hurting them. But then he kind of moves out after a second, and then he does a frontal, and I just completely did not even notice it. So he's going to do the frontal, and I'm sitting here just worried about the debuff. So just make sure you watch out for that because I did not need to be hit by that. But yeah, that is this fight. It's really simple once you understand the debuff mechanic and how to kind of manage it. But for the most part, it's pretty simple. These fights are all pretty easy once you get them down. Just know that you don't have to be the hero and run out and grab every debuff, but just try to understand in the moment, how can you help? Do you have more defensives than they do? And then also don't just steal it from your tank at random parts. But yeah, so here, that was our only death in this dungeon so far, but this is the part where a lot of you guys were saying you needed this video because this little hallway, this gauntlet, it's not really a gauntlet. You can stop and drink potions between pools, but a lot of you guys were having trouble with this. So let's go ahead and break it down. All right, so we're going to start with the bad pools, and these are very bad. I play these very poorly, and a lot of it is just in my base rotation. I kind of lose what I'm supposed to be doing here. So All these ads we've seen before in the dungeon. Like I said earlier, it's kind of just a random assortment of what we've seen before. It's not random, but it's just an assortment of what we've seen before. So we have the guys that will fixate on someone. You really need to top up that person if they get fixated. You have Beyblades. You got to watch out for those. And then now we have these Stone Bolt casters. These are introducing us to what's going to be part of the next fight, but they're really not an issue in the next fight, the boss fight. So the Stone Bolt casts, they're very slow casts. But all these enemies, most of these enemies can be stunned. So in this hallway, I think one thing that I've seen in VODs that I've watched is a lot of people don't utilize their cooldowns, their Ring of Peace and Leg Sweep. Even myself, watching this back, I don't use them enough. You can stun these guys. You can stop a lot of the casts. They are very slow channels and really limit what these guys are doing. Since there's so many of them, they all have different mechanics. You can really do that, but it's the same thing. I should be dispelling my tank because they're taking more damage. You can't see it because it's hidden under a bursting stack, but he was just, I think it's called tempo sliced. And we end up killing these guys pretty fast before the second Ripper starts going out. But then we come up to, once again, another similar pack. We have more of these Stone Bolt casters. You're going to see these casts go very slow. My tank is getting tempo sliced. So just watching my tank and these pools, watch your tank. That's the main thing. Because a lot of the damage that they take is or a lot of the damage these mobs do is on them. But you see there, Chrono Melt comes out, and one tick from it on a Tyrannical week trucks my hunter. He ends up feign deathing it, but you can kick that. You can save your kicks for the Chrono Melts. You can stun them. You can just pump heals into that person, but it's just so much easier if you stop that cast. So Chrono Melt is a must kick. But since these guys, the Creation's Stone Bolt casts are so slow, they're really good to use your AoE CC on. See there, I wasted my Leg Sweep, but what you can do is let them get about like 70% done with this long channel, then Leg Sweep. And then you'll be chilling, you'll have your kick ready for the melt, and or same with Ring of Peace. Just use those AoE stops to stop those big casts because they do chunk. But yeah, they're very long channels. But Tempo Slice, watch the tank, and dispel them pretty often. Make sure these Stone Bolts don't get off too often. But really, Chrono Melt is probably what's killing you. It's probably sneaking away one of your DPS and taking them out before you notice it. And you'll see here in this next chunk how I play this so poorly. So already, I'm casting Essence Font for no reason before I cast Mana Tea. Everyone's low. I'm sitting on my Rising Sun Kick and Thunder Focus Tea and Chi-Ji and a Renewing Mischarge when everyone's taking sustained damage. How I should have done this is walked up to this pack, Thunder Focus Tea'd and Chi-Ji'd at the same time, Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, Enveloping Mist, Rising Sun Kick again, and just get good value, top everyone up, respect the damage that's coming in, but instead, I just kind of sit here and Soothing Mist channel. I like watching this back, I'm like mind blown. You see there we do get someone to kick that Chrono Melt cast. Yeah. And but yeah, that's the main damage that's coming out. But other than that, it's just the Time Rip, the Beyblade, and the Melt. But why am I channeling Soothing Mist so often? You'll see it kind of happens again. The only time I should be channeling Soothing Mist is if someone's targeted by Chrono Melt and we cannot stop it. But for the most part, these packs are the perfect size for an Ancient Teachings rotation. They're about 5 enemies each if you don't stack a lot of them. So it's just great value from Ancient Teachings. You really should not stop to cast. And we'll skip ahead. Oh, there's the boss. But yeah, for the most part in this hallway, I just channeled Soothing Mist way too much. I'm sitting here watching it like, what am I doing? I have so many buttons available. This pack or this hallway gets really hard if you stack a bunch of these pools on top of each other, but really easy if you just Ancient Teachings. Kick the important stuff like Chrono Melt. AoE stops as often as you can, and just watch out for Beyblades, and you should be golden. Like I said, you've seen a lot of these pools before, but let's go and watch the good perspective. And yeah, like I said, a lot of this is just doing what I've been saying. I try to use my Leg Sweep more often. I try to stay in the Ancient Teachings rotation more often, and for the most part, that is enough maintenance healing. Just watching when these casts get off, when the Chrono Melt happens, when someone gets hit by Beyblade, that's when you need to stop and really focus. And then also, yeah, to dispel the tank, the slice. Stone Bolt, very slow cast. We let it slowly charge up, and then right before it goes off, we kick it. But yeah, that's this pack. These packs are very simple. Just do, it's kind of stupid to say, but just do the right thing. Like if a cast is going off, kick it. If like someone's taking a big sustained amount of damage through the tempo slice or chrono melt, that's what I'm trying to say, kick it or heal them. You know, like a lot of it is just coming down to just playing well, and you can do that easily. The cheat code is just using your stops, using your kicks, and you should be fine. From this point, it's kind of like a rinse and repeat. I'm just doing my ancient teachings, just kicking whatever casts I can, dispelling the tank. So yeah, let's go ahead and skip to the final boss. Now, I love this boss. It's one of my favorite bosses in like the last couple of seasons. But I've seen a lot of people mess this boss up. However, if you want to time this dungeon, you really have to get this boss down. And it, like every boss, it really does have a pattern. So let's go ahead and find these timestamps. 29, 38. And you guys can probably guess, with all this time left, we're gonna mess up. So let's just play it from here. We're coming into this boss. First off, I don't have a lot of mana, or I don't have max mana, which this is a healer fight. We could still time this dungeon, but we don't top our mana up right there, and it's gonna come back to bite us a little bit. But how this fight goes is, this is pretty simple. Someone gets marked with a big AoE circle, and they have to stand with Chromie so that she can kind of shelter that blast a little bit. As the healer, though, your job is to protect that person. Now, once this big slam hits, she will take a big brunt of the damage. But you see here, you're marked. You're taking even more damage with the debuff. It's going to be trucking you. So if you get marked as the healer, pop a defensive, it'll make your life easier. If you don't, be spamming into this person, but you also will need to come and soak. So after that, after she shelters that blast, there's going to be two swirlies. The tank alone tanks this first one. The rest of the group tanks this one. Now, this is where you need to roll a cooldown. I should have, right after that blast hits me, one, I should have a defensive rolling, but two, I should have popped Chi-Ji and started my ramp, because you're going to see it's a big amount of sustained damage, like a ton of damage. Chi-Ji is perfect, but right here, I am not respecting this damage that's about to come in, and it will bite us. We still are sitting on our renewing mist charges. I should have at least applied those. Rising Sun Kick to have 5 renewing mists out, but instead, I just panic. What am I doing? Where's my mouse? Oh my goodness. We panic. We cast a Sheilun's Gift. Somehow, by the grace of like Chromie herself, we survive with no deaths. We got to watch that one back. Oh my god, it's horrible. It's slam and then tank. So it's 3 big, massive hits. Like I said, Chi-Ji is perfect to roll as you're moving into that circle, spread your hots, and then start spamming Vivifies to really combat those 3 hits. And this you should be fine in. You can even get away with not using a major one of your 2 cooldowns if you're really good on hots, and if you have plenty of time to like even put a few enveloping mists out or have good Chi Harmony uptime, you should be fine. But oh my god, that was horrible. Now, it doesn't stop there. Your job as the healer is not done yet. It still goes on for another few seconds. So we just stacked up. We just popped a cooldown. We have a lot of hots rolling. Now, as the healer, your job is to heal up Chromie. It sucks that everyone kind of stays here. Ideally, everyone moves off of Chromie so that you can target her easier and quicker. But the ideal thing is right now she is hurt and you need to heal her back up so she can tank that next hit. So you're going to be doing a ton of spot healing, but you need to do it quickly because the next mechanic is about to come out. So what's the fastest way to top someone up? Well, we have a lot of buttons that are really good for it. We could life cocoon her to help the healing happen, or the easiest way is to first renewing mist her because that'll apply Chi Harmony, and Chi Harmony makes her take 50% more healing. And then second, channel a Soothing Mist, cast an Enveloping Mist, because Enveloping Mist makes them take 30, but if you take a talent, it makes them take 40% more healing from you, and then spam those massive Vivifies into her. So she'll have the 50% Chi Harmony bonus, she'll have the 40% Enveloping Mist bonus, and she'll be taking smack after smack of Vivify healing. And if you do that, right once you move out, once everyone's topped up, you click her Renewing Mist, channel Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, and spam a few Vivifies. Only one Soothing Mist channel should be needed. You will be able to top her up before this next mechanic. And this next mechanic is a movement mechanic. You see there, I'm very slow to start spamming into her. And also, I don't start this little spam into her how I should. Oh God, I'm getting war flashbacks. So here's how I start. I pick her and I just start a Soothing Mist. I did not start with a Chi Harmony with a Renewing Mist, or even with an Enveloping Mist. I just start casting a Vivify and then an Enveloping Mist, and it's very slow to top her up. She now has a Chi Harmony, but it's very late. Now that this next mechanic is coming out, we don't have her topped up. Ideally, you just get that over with, Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist in your Soothing Mist channel, and just spam and just get it over with. But right now, I still have her to worry about, and you'll see I do worry about her. So ideally now, this mechanic does do pretty heavy pulses of damage, but if you're on top of things, if you have Chromie healed up entirely, you don't have to worry about her. Your Ancient Teachings rotation should be fine enough to deal with this mechanic, because it's just pulses of damage, dodge. That's it. However, you're going to see, maybe not this time, but next time you'll see we mess it up. So here I am having to go back to Chromie, missing a ton of uptime on the boss. Now, this is the like final big mechanic that this boss does. It does a giant AoE frontal cone. It picks 2 targets to make swirlies or have circles around them. And you have to move out of it all at once. And also, you cannot hug the boss. You see here, there's also a ground targeter on the boss. So your job is, you have to just move out. You have to pick a side and move out. Ideally, everyone runs right. Now, what I like to do whenever I do this key is I like to tell my group what side to run to whenever this giant AoE frontal happens. Like I say, if you get the rings, run to the right of the cone. I think I say rings right of cone, and everyone kind of gets it. But still, you have to make sure you're not stacking with these guys. But the reason why you want to stack and all go to the same side is because these guys actually spawn those stone bolt adds from those last pools. This is great times for us to cleave, but you see here I am not cleaving. I am still worried about Chromie. I'm worried that she's not topped up, but she's totally fine. But you can just cleave, get some good damage, use those adds to funnel your single target damage. What do I mean by funnel? Well, cleaving is when you can hit multiple adds without slowing down your single target damage. So if I'm just trying to do some AoE damage and I just do my Ancient Teachings rotation, that's cleaving. However, funneling is when you use your AoE buttons to do more single target damage. So we can blackout kick and cleave onto 3 people, which will then get a higher chance to reset our Rising Sun kick, and that will funnel our single target damage to be more, which will also in turn help our healing a lot, because 1, Rising Sun kick is very good value with Ancient Teachings, but 2, our Rising Sun kicks, getting more of those by cleaving off these adds will help our hot start rolling, so that when these next mechanics come out, we're in a better spot. So the next mechanic is going to be that other thing where she's going to shelter again. She's topped up, she's full, but I'm still shooting my Phaline's kind of worried. I don't even think that works. I don't think Phaline hits her. Ancient Teachings does not hit her either. So she goes over there. She's going to shelter this blast. Me, I'm rolling Chi-Ji, which is already better. I kind of learned from that first slam, but I don't even know who's getting hit by that. I think it's the mage. No, it's the hunter. I need to be helping the hunter. My first Enveloping Mist went into myself when it needs to go into the hunter. You really need to help that person out. But you see here, I'm doing better about ramping. I learned. And yeah, it gets a lot better because we did ramp, but still pretty sloppy of a ramp. I should have ramped better. and then been spamming the Vivifies once those 3 hits come, and we would have been in a much better position. But you see there, I still don't top up Chromie. And rinse, repeat, we end up wiping, because right now you'll see we both dodged different ways. You normally want to stay around Chromie as much as you can, but this was, look, I'm just going to say it. I usually like to take blame since I think it's a fair thing to do since I'm making the video. But this was the hunter's fault. He is way off in Narnia and I cannot heal him. And yeah, that's a big problem because I'm also having to heal Chromie. But like I said, if I would have done my Chromie heal immediately and done a good rotation, we would have been in a better spot. But you're also going to see me kind of panic. Everyone's getting hit by these. This was just a horrible pull. We end up wiping and pulling again, and I think we kill it. And I think this is the one where we get the... yeah, we get the leech pants, I'm pretty sure. So this was the bad dungeon. It took forever, and we got the leech pants. So huge thumbs up. All in all, this was the perfect dungeon pool. But let's go and watch how we handle this boss right the first time. So already, we're coming in. We have a couple hots. I think still from that last pool, or maybe I applied them with Renewing Mist. But I'm staying close to Chromie. I'm trying not to stack on her. And I notice, I'm watching who got hit. I see it's a chicken. So you're going to see I go ahead and spam a Soothing Mist and Enveloping Mist into them. And then we're going to Chi-Ji, get that rolling. I save my Blackout Kicks, start rolling these hots, and we're totally fine. Ideally, I think I still would do that a little sooner. But yeah, that was very easy because we had the stacked Blackout Kicks right once that first slam came out. And then you see there, I top up Chromie so fast. So let's see. Let's go back to that. So we heal everyone up, and then you'll see right once we move out, I click Chromie immediately. Good, Chris. Good, Chris. Renewing Mist first to apply Chi Harmony. Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Vivify, 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 Vivify. One Soothing Mist channel is all it needs. I end up casting another random one. But you'll see here, even though I know she's fully topped up, you'll see every now and then when we're in downtime, I'll still click her and apply like a heal or two when it's downtime. But for the most part, this part, like I said, Ancient Teachings is totally enough. You see there, I click her and apply a Renewing Mist just to be safe. But Ancient Teachings is totally enough to heal the pulses of the earth damage, and part of that is because my group is standing close to Chromie, since they know that I'm going to be local to Chromie. It just makes things easier. But everyone moves to the right. We make sure we're not standing in any of the bad. We spawn the ads, and what am I doing, man? Like I said, ideally I want to be cleaving off these ads or funneling into the boss more. It took me a second. I think I was like, do I go to Chromie? Do I go to the ads? But ideally, you do just want to come cleave these ads really quick, get them down, and set up for the next mechanic. Now, ideally, you want to shift back here where there's more space instead of right here against the wall. But it's honestly, it's not like that big of a deal. But yeah, it's on me. So I know I'm probably going to pop a defensive for sure. And then I'll start rolling Chi-Ji is what I guess, or I'd get Shayloons ready to go. Shayloons and maybe Revival. This fight is pretty quick when you do the mechanics right. Yep, I pop a cooldown. I always try to pick my lowest cooldown defensive first, although they do have different uses. But in this instance, Dampen Harm is a great defensive. So I pop that. I'm already channeling into myself. I apply Chi Harmony. And then from here, I notice, I'm like, do I use a cooldown? I notice I have 5 Renewing Mists out. I know one's about to fall off, but we have 5 out. We have Chi Harmonies rolling. And I'm channeling Soothing Mist. And you see there, I reapply that 1 Renewing Mist. And then just start channeling Soothing Mist into myself. Why myself, even though this guy doesn't have a Renewing Mist? Well, 1, I see his defensive's active. But 2, the main thing is I was the one that was selected to move and tank that with Chromie. I'm going to be the one that has the debuff and take the most damage. So I want to prioritize myself. If it had been the chicken, if it had been the boomkin, I would pick the boomkin. But this is the most damage you're going to take. This is the best time to press a defensive. So don't be afraid to do that during this part. But like I said, I have hots rolling. So Vivify Cleave turned out to be good, but Shayloon's Gift just to make it safe because I know this fight is about to end. And after you do that, it's those mechanics, rinse and repeat. You do those a couple times, then Chromie's like, okay, we're done fighting this boss. And she, let's see if we can skip to it. Like I said, rinse, repeat these same mechanics. Where is it? Chromie, help us out. Okay, she just creates this big safe dome. You pop Lust if you have it. You just have big speed boost, or I'm sorry, attack speed boost. You start pumping your whatever cooldowns you have left. This is the end of the fight. Chi-Chi's really good here because you're going to have more haste. You just slam damage and the boss dies. And that's it. That's Galakrond's Fall. You see here we had 12, almost 13 minutes left. How was this only a 2 chest? I have no idea. This was an insane key. We don't get anything from the vault, but like I said, we got the leech pants. We're good to go. We have the weapon. We're done with this dungeon, basically. But guys, that's Galakrond's Fall. My name's LBNinja7. As you see here on this side, my new sign. What do you guys think? I am so happy. Like, it makes me so happy looking at it, even though it's a little glary, but hopefully it's fine. But guys, do you like this series? Does it help you out? If so, let me know down below in the comments what video you want to see next. Which dungeon should I hit up next? Bursting is over. It's in the past. We're going to try to do keys without bursting so we can focus more on the mechanics. Also, this week is Fortified. So if you want to see some good Fortified keys, let me know down in the comments below which ones you want to see. Guys, that has been your Time to 20s Episode 2. Galakrond's Fall. I really enjoy making this series. I hope that you guys are getting a lot out of it because one, it takes a lot of time, but it makes me happy. I really like making this series and I want to continue doing so. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Huge shout out to my Patreons. Lots of new faces here. Make sure and give a shout out to these guys as well in the comments. They are the reason this channel is still going, as well as my passion for Mistweaver. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you want to see your name on the screen with the other Patreons, as always, check out the description below. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.